Oh my gosh. Why? What is happening? Can anybody see me? Oh my gosh. Is it? Okay, maybe it is working. I am just about over technology, man. Okay. Now what? Da, da, da. Sign in to chat. Oh, has anybody joined this stream yet? It's pretty silly. Pretty silly. Hey, Blake's here, and apparently I'm successfully streaming because he can see my hat. That's good. Very good. Oh my gosh, this has been frustrating. I don't know why, but for some reason I can't stream from my new account. So here I am streaming from my old account. Very frustrating. Anybody else in here? I hate technology. I probably shouldn't. I'm supposed to like it, but I hate it. Welcome, Ryan. Thanks for hopping over to this channel. Every time I tried to go live, it would give me an error message saying something about YouTube wasn't receiving streaming data, and that was in OBS. And then I tried to just go live like straight from YouTube, and it said streaming isn't available. So I need to look into that. There's clearly, I don't know, some setting or something somewhere that needs to be enabled. I guess I haven't ever gone live from that channel before. I thought I had. But maybe I never did go live from that channel, so I should have tested all that before I got started. I just assumed it would work. That's what I get for assuming. But luckily this channel is allowing me to stream, so. All right. I think I'll probably just go ahead and get started. So, we're going to be talking about AI, of course. I mostly just want to respond to a bunch of questions and comments that I've been getting on Twitter, because I see these questions and comments a lot. And so thanks for hopping over to this channel, Maurice. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. I think a lot of these questions and comments that I'm getting are just common. They're just so common. I see them all the time. I see them on my posts. I see them on other people's posts. And so I just want to try to address them here in video format and hopefully clear up some of these misconceptions. There's a lot of ignorance about AI, and I don't mean that in a super derogatory manner. Ignorance just means you don't know something, and there's just a lot of stuff that people don't know about AI, and I think that there's some misconceptions, and there's also some I don't want to say like dishonesty, but you get one person who says something about AI that's not necessarily true, and then other people read that and they just assume that it is true, and then they run with it. The other issue with it is also that AI has changed quite a bit and improved quite a bit, and so a lot of the things that people are saying about AI used to be true, and they're not true anymore. Like Marie says, it's AI's fault. Some of it is. Some of it is, just the fact that that's how AI was, and so people tried it, they didn't like it, and they just wrote it off. And I don't think they understand that it's improved, just how quickly it's improved. Technology changes quickly, and I feel like AI has been changing even faster than technology typically changes. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. Trying to strangle myself here with my hat. I basically just have some of my Twitter posts up here, and we're going to go through some of the comments. Hey, Devin, thanks for joining. Devin is he's a longtime friend of mine, and he is the guy that I go to when I need graphic design work. So thanks for joining, Devin. Devin's also a developer, so I'm sure I know he's played around with AI a little bit. He wants to know how I feel about AI websites as a whole when a person doesn't know what they're doing. Well, if a person doesn't know what they're doing, they're not going to get a great result, probably regardless of how they approach it. But I do think I'm pretty confident that a person who doesn't know what they're doing will get a less bad result if they use AI than if they try to, like if someone said, "Oh, you need a website, go use WordPress." Like a person who doesn't know what they're doing isn't going to be able to do that. I mean, they might, if they're lucky and they find WordPress.com, they might be able to spin up a website and get some really basic thing going, but it's going to be terrible. If they, you know, good luck trying to explain to that person the difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org. They might land on GoDaddy's website or WP Engine's website or something, and it's all just very confusing. It might be a little better if they land on like squarespace.com or wix.com or something, but regardless of the tool, if they don't know what they're doing, they're not going to get a good result. But I think if they were to hop on something like Lovable or Replit or one of these AI, I don't even know what you call those, uh, AI app makers, I think a person who doesn't know what they're doing is going to probably get a better result with that. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the AI, apart from the AI just doing what they tell it to, it will also explain stuff. For instance, if you're trying to set up a website with like WordPress and you have no idea what you're doing, you manage to figure out how to add a form to your website. You picked one of the 4 billion form plugins that exist, and you get a form on the website, and then you fill out the form and it doesn't work. Like you don't get an email, nobody gets an email, and you do some googling and you're like, "Oh, I have to set up SMTP. What even is that?" You're just completely on your own. But if you're using something like Lovable, things like that, the AI will guide you. It will help you. You can just straight up ask it, "Hey, why is my form not working?" And it'll be like, "Well, you haven't set up SMTP yet." And you'll be like, "Well, what is that?" And it'll walk you through it. And things like Lovable might even have SMTP built in at this point. I don't know. If they don't, they need to. They need to have some basic stuff like that built in. But so I do think that a person using AI will probably get a better result. But regardless, if they don't know what they're doing, they're not going to get a good result. That's just how it is. Um, so, would I compare websites created with AI with template websites? Kind of, a little bit. A lot of people complain that AI websites all look the same, but they don't remember 5 minutes ago, before AI existed, that all websites already looked the same. there's just website design trends that happen, and they stick around for a while, and some new trend comes out and every website looks like that for a while, and then a new trend comes out and every website looks like that for a while. So it's not really any different than it was before, to be honest. But let's jump into some of these comments and questions. So I shared a post about how I told my AI agent to rebuild a website. um, it was a website that was previously built in WordPress, and then the AI rebuilt it in just Astro, just a static website. And I was impressed with how close it was after the first prompt, and then it just took a couple prompts after to kind of tweak it to get it to look just right. Um, because in the past I haven't had that great of success, and the difference is this time the AI had complete SSH access to the existing site, and I think that was a differentiator, as opposed to in the past, you share a URL with it, and then it's trying to grab whatever, scrape whatever HTML, CSS, JavaScript that it can. It's trying to take screenshots of the site and try to build based on that. I've tried to just share screenshots with the AI and say, build this. And I've had some moderate success with that, but it still felt like a lot of work getting it to work. Hey, Brendan, thanks for hopping over. I'm sorry for the technical issue. I don't know why my other YouTube channel won't let me stream, so I had to switch back to this channel. That's my fault for not testing before I went live. But thanks for hopping over here. So RH Farden here said full SSH is where this gets reckless. I'm not really sure what he means by that or why he thinks that's reckless. It sounds like just general AI paranoia. If my AI has access to it, full SSH access to it, then theoretically the AI could completely bork it and destroy it, right? First of all, who cares? Because that's the old site. I'm rebuilding the site, right? So the fact that it has full SSH access to the old site, who cares? You know, if it completely breaks that site, whatever. I'm going to delete it anyways. Um, and then he asked if I tested redirects and forms and tracking. Redirects don't apply because it's the same URL, all the same. It's all the same exact pages, all the same exact page slugs, URLs, whatever. So no redirects required there. The form does work. It's different, obviously. Before I was using some form plugin because it was WordPress. Now I'm using something else, which I'm actually going to get into in this video a little bit later. My new kind of form setup, and this form setup is just for me. I'm not necessarily, this isn't something I would set up for a client unless they wanted it. But this is what I'm doing for my websites that have forms on it. So we'll get into how that works later. But so yeah, this just kind of feels like general AI fear slash paranoia. The thing that a lot of people, and I think you'll probably see a theme, is a lot of people are very worried about AI randomly breaking stuff, randomly deleting stuff. And I think people have this idea that AI is somehow like sentient or conscious, like it's just sitting there thinking all day, and maybe it comes to some conclusion at some point throughout the day that it wants to do a thing and it goes and does a thing. That's not how AI works. AI is not sentient. It's not thinking. My AI agent right now, it's not doing anything right now. It's not thinking. It's just that it's just a program like any other program. It takes an input and then it gives you an output. It feels like it's thinking a lot of times because the way it talks to you is just it's very creepily human. You know, it you use it for a while and you really start to feel like it is some kind of sentient AI robot, but it's not. It's just a program. It's a very fancy algorithm. You give it some input, it gives you some output. The danger is it can, since it's trying to use reasoning. Before, AI programs wouldn't use reasoning. It would just, you tell it to do a thing, and if it understood what that was, it would do it. If it didn't, it wouldn't do anything. The AI will try to use reasoning. So it is possible for it to misinterpret what you said. So if you give it some bad input, you might get a bad output out of it, but it's not going to randomly break stuff. It might misinterpret what you said, and that could cause it to break something. But if you give your AI SSH access to a website, and then you don't tell it to do anything, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to 4 hours later just randomly go in and start breaking stuff. Okay. So that's just some kind of general AI fear, I think. Dimitri said that in his experience, the AI needs more guidance than that. When he's asked a similar thing and expects it to replicate the code, the agent tends to take screenshots and try to replicate it visually. Yeah, that's how I've tried it in the past, and I also got bad results that way. I really think in this case, the fact that the AI had full SSH access to the old site really helped because it was able to grab the exact code. In fact, I'm not crazy about the fact that it did this, but since the old site on WordPress was using Bootstrap, uh, the AI agent used Bootstrap in the new Astro version, which is probably why it's pretty much exactly one for one. It looks exactly like the old site because the AI agent literally just grabbed the HTML and all the Bootstrap CSS and just replicated it. So the new site looks exactly like the old site. Had I been thinking and remembered that it used Bootstrap, I probably would have told it to convert from Bootstrap to just regular CSS and probably use BEM or something. But that's just sort of the old thinking creeping through. That's how I would want it because I don't like Bootstrap. I prefer regular CSS with BEM. So if I want to go in and mess with it, that's what I would want. But honestly, I'm never gonna go in and mess with it. Like I'm not gonna open VS Code and play around with the CSS on this website. If I need it to do anything, if I need to change anything, I'm just going to tell the AI bot to do it. So if the AI bot wants to use Bootstrap, whatever, use Bootstrap. It doesn't matter. As long as I can say, hey, I want a little bit more padding around this, or I want to turn this 3-column into a 4-column. Whatever I'm doing, if I can tell it to do it and it does it, great. If it's using Tailwind, Bootstrap, BEM, who cares? That's kind of the advantage of AI, is it doesn't really matter what it's doing as long as it can do it and it can do it accurately and you're not sitting there prompting it a bunch of times to get the result that you're looking for. What else we got? Here's a post. Oh, that's mostly about WordPress. Maybe we don't want to get into that right now. This post, oh yeah, this is a good one. So I mentioned my new form setup that I use now. So that's what this post is about. I basically got tired of having to set up SMTP every time I create a website, right? So I create a brand new website for a client or for myself. I have to go into the domain. I have to go to my SMTP account. I use Brevo, which used to be, I think it used to be Sendinblue, but there's, Mailgun. There's all sorts of different SMTP services. They're all basically the same. I have to go into my Brevo account, create a new account, first of all, for this website. And then I would give my main account access to that account so I can access it. Then you have to add a domain, and you have to create a sender. So then you have to go into your domain settings and update your DNS settings, wait for that to propagate. You have to install an SMTP plugin on your website. You have to grab your API key from your Brevo account, go back to your website, plug that into the plugin. And then I get weird emails from Brevo that's like, we noticed someone trying to access your website from a different IP or whatever. And it's very unclear. It never tells you which account it's talking about. I just got tired of that whole setup. All so I can just get an email when someone fills out a form, which I don't even like. I don't really need my email to be filling up with those form submissions, especially since most of them are spam. So what I did, I already had this command center that I built for myself, which I'm going to talk about after these questions and comments. I have a command center that I built for myself that just has a bunch of business related data being displayed for my business. And so long story short, what I did is I set it up so when somebody fills out the form on my website, it saves the form submission to the database, just like any WordPress form plugin would. But then instead of sending an email, all it does is it sends a notification to my phone that says, "Hey, you got a form submission," and then my command center that I built is connected to that database, that website database, and so it will display my form submissions in the command center. So basically, what happens is I get a notification on my phone. It says, "Hey, you got a form submission on whichever website." I tap that notification. It opens up my command center because the command center is just a web app, so I have it installed on my phone, and I can view the submission right there on my phone or on my computer if I want to. I can see who sent it, when they sent it, and then of course all the data in the form, the message, and all that stuff. One advantage that this has is I can use AI to for spam detection. It can use reasoning to determine what is spam and what isn't. And I can still view those spam submissions just in case. I always like to look at my spam submissions just to make sure they're actually spam, because you never know. Maybe one sneaks through. But that's my new setup. So I don't get an email anymore. The one downside to this is that the customer doesn't get an email. So if you really want to send the customer an email that says, "Thank you for submitting the form," or whatever, this setup wouldn't work for you. That's why I said that I'm not really doing this for clients. This is just for me. This is how I want it. Because I don't care about sending the customer an email. They just get a little message on the website that says, "Thanks for submitting the form." So that's what this post was about, just kind of describing that I did that. Nat here. Nat's a good guy, but he is very anti-AI. I'm not really sure why. And I don't think he's really anti-AI. I think he's just so pro WordPress that the thought of people building a website with anything other than WordPress just makes him lose sleep at night. And so, he had this comment, "So many steps to solve something that an SMTP plugin does out of the box." First of all, no SMTP plugin does this out of the box. Like I said, you have to go and set up the SMTP. You have to update the DNS on the domain name so it can actually send the emails. There's a bunch of setup every single time. There's no you don't just install a SMTP WordPress plugin, click install, click activate, and now emails work. Like, that's not how it works. Also, there was a little bit of setup involved getting this set up, but now that it's set up, I literally just have to tell my AI agent, "Hey, on this new website that we just built, that form that we built that's not doing anything, it's not working, I need you to go ahead and set that up with my command center. And it does it because there's a skill. It knows how to do it. It knows how to, it has the whole process saved in a skill. So that's literally all I have to do is give it one prompt. Hey, set this up, set this form up to work with my command center. And it does it. So that's my setup. No more going into domain DNS settings and no more creating an account in Brevo and blah, 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 blah. I don't have to do any of that crap. Literally just give my AI agent one prompt and then it works. Hey, Rob, thanks for joining. Thanks. I created that thumbnail with ChatGPT. I think they call it Images 2.0 or whatever. You get like 3 prompts a day with it if you're not paying. And it gave me that in one prompt, so I got lucky. I don't know. It's almost too good. Like I would pay for it if I had to, but the fact that I got that thumbnail out of one prompt and you get like 3 prompts a day or whatever for free, I may never have to actually pay them money for it, to be honest. But I will pay them if I have to, because I agree with you. That was a pretty great thumbnail, and that was one prompt. I just said, hey, I need a thumbnail. Here's some pictures of me. Go ahead and cartoonize it, and I was like, maybe make it look like I'm a professor teaching a class on a chalkboard or whatever. That was the prompt I gave it, and that's what I got. So yeah, good job, ChatGPT. Tony wants to know what I'm using as a CMS. My AI agent is my CMS. I'm not using a CMS. CMS is a content management system, right? It's a system that manages your content. My AI agent manages my content. So it, I'm already anthropomorphizing it. The AI agent is my content management system. Mitchell wants to know how this helps me sell more website projects. It doesn't. That's not the point of it. Setting up a new form system for my websites is not helping me sell more website clients. I'm not sure why he asked that. This one I don't fully understand. Will says he uses Gravity Forms and Fluent SMTP to send through my Google Workspace account. One-time setup and it does the same thing. One-time setup? I don't understand how that works. So you set it up one time and then every website you build from there on just magically works. I don't understand that. I'm also not crazy about using my Google Workspace account to send emails. If I was going to be sending emails, I would rather use a legit SMTP service that is meant for that, like Brevo. I send so few emails that it probably would be fine to use Google Workspace. But if you are a larger agency and you're kind of sending a lot of emails because you're getting a lot of form submissions and you get an email every time that happens and your customer gets an email every time that happens, I'm not sure it's a great idea to be doing that through your Google Workspace. You don't want that getting marked as spam. I think it's probably better to use a service that is meant for that, like Brevo, Mailgun, whatever, SendGrid, all those different services. What do we got? Moving from WordPress to Astro, still deciding on the CMS. Yeah, I mean, maybe consider not using a CMS. The problem is when you want your client to be able to log in and edit stuff. If that's the case, yeah, you probably want some sort of CMS. You could look at Mdash. It's pretty new though. I'm blanking out on the other. Sanity? Is that the name of? There's a CMS I think called Sanity that works pretty well with Astro. You might give that a shot. But honestly, if you're just building a website for yourself, I think you're going to find that you don't really need a CMS. You don't really want to be logging into a dashboard and clicking around on things when you can just tell your AI agent to make changes instead. It's a lot easier. David wants to know why not connect them to a lead management tool or framework. You absolutely could. Yeah, you absolutely could. Any lead management or CRM tool like HubSpot or whatever that has an API that you can use, you could very easily do that. I'm just so small that I have yet to pull the trigger on actually trying to use a CRM. I've considered it in the past, but I get so few leads. This business isn't really my full-time thing. It's just kind of a side gig that has basically almost entirely dried up because I got a real job and neglected it for 4 years. So but you absolutely could. If you're getting a lot of leads and you want to be able to manage them with HubSpot or some other sort of CRM, whatever, you absolutely could do that. It would be very easy. Uh, AI is very good at integrating with apps that have a good API. I've integrated with so many things that have an API. My AI agent has access to my Cloudflare account and can do stuff there via API. It's got access to my Google Analytics, which you'll see in my command center. It's accessing my it built an app. I should say that my AI isn't accessing things. My AI built me an app that integrates with other apps via API. Um, my command center is integrating with my invoicing system at Zoho via API. It's integrating with my Stripe account via API, so it can display some data. So if there's a CRM that has an API, easy peasy, you could connect the system that I set up to a CRM like that. Devin thinks a CMS is required because AI has more information about CMSs. What if your agent just died? Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not super worried about it. But that is, I suppose, a legitimate concern. I don't know what you mean by what if your agent just dies. There's so many agents out there. It's like and here's the thing, and maybe I should talk about what I even mean when I say AI. I'm using something called Hermes, which is like basically an app that you install on your computer, and then you have to connect it to some sort of LLM. So you could connect it to Claude, and then let's say Claude has an outage or something, and you're like, oh no, I can't do any work because Claude has an outage. Just go into Hermes and switch it to Codex. Now you're using Codex. It's not. I'm not really worried about my AI dying. Uh, it's just not really a concern. There's so many AI options out there that if one of them goes away, I'll just switch to another one. But if that is a concern, then yeah, that you could use, like I said, there's Sanity. There's a couple other pretty simple CMSs that will work with Astro. So if you really want to use a CMS, it wouldn't be that hard to do it. I've built at least one site with Sanity. I'm not using it anymore, but I built it just out of curiosity. AI handled it pretty well. I built a couple sites with Mdash using AI. That also went fairly smoothly, although Mdash is still pretty new. I think there's a couple gotchas here and there, but also Statamic. And I know Devin uses Statamic. Statamic is a great CMS that is already very easy to use with AI. I just read. I wish I'd saved it. I read an article the other day from a guy who runs an agency, and they've been building websites almost exclusively with WordPress for many years, and they recently not switched, but they've recently started using Statamic, and WordPress is no longer their default. I think Statamic is kind of the default, and then they will still use WordPress occasionally if they feel like the project warrants that. But he was talking in the article about basically how it's already the way it's Statamic uses actual HTML files and whatnot. It's not using PHP like templates and a database and all that. So it's you're he was talking about how they didn't like to use Statamic in the past because it was all so manual. You literally had to just go in and write all the HTML, CSS, all that kind of stuff. But now with AI does the bulk of that. He said AI does probably 80 to 90% of that work. And then, a person can go in and kind of clean it up and take it over the finish line. So apparently Statamic is a great option if you want to use AI to do almost all the work, but you also want to have a solid CMS, because Statamic's been around since like 2012. It's a solid product. I haven't used it yet, but I know Devin has been trying to get me to switch to Statamic for a while. He says he's built 4 websites with it with AI, and the experience was great. Yeah, I believe that. What was this post about? Okay, so here's something that happened. I'm gonna call him a client. I built and I'm hosting his website for free because he's a friend of mine. but we'll call him a client. I recently rebuilt his website. It was on WordPress, and I built it in Astro. I didn't convert the WordPress site into Astro because I didn't like the way the old WordPress site looked. So I told it to just redesign the website. I said, here's the content, use all the same content. Here's the images of, it's a church website. So here's some images of the congregation, whatever. And I just said, just build a brand new website. And it did. And then I showed it to him. And apparently they had changed the time when the children's ministry used to start at 7. Now it starts at 6:30. So he told me that. He said, hey, by the way, the kids ministry is at 6:30 now. So I said, all right, cool. So I went to my AI agent. I said, hey, that church website we just built, I need you to change the time for the kids ministry from 7 to 6:30. And it's like, all right, hold on. And it went and it looked and it found 2 references on the website where the kids ministry was saying 7 p.m. and it changed it to 6:30 and it deployed. Easy peasy. And so if you think that is more difficult than logging into WordPress dashboard and using Gutenberg to, first of all, you have to go look through every single page to find all the references because you never know, oh, maybe there's a reference to this ministry time on the contact page. Maybe it's over here, maybe it's over there. You got to find all the different places where it's mentioned on the website and change it from 7 to 6:30. If you think that doing that is easier than what I did, where I literally just told my AI agent, hey, it's 6:30 now instead of 7, then you're not a real person. You're not a serious person. You're not looking at this seriously. You just have an agenda. You're anti-AI and you just don't want anybody to use AI for anything. Because that is insane to think that that what I just did is somehow more difficult, or that the WordPress method is going to be better than that. There's absolutely no way the WordPress method is better than that. Okay. And this isn't something that my client did, but I could set it up. You could set up a website where your client could prompt and make updates. You'd want to set up some guardrails and make sure you have like a staging site set up, which isn't difficult. If it's a super static website, you could use GitHub Pages as your staging website. And the AI agent could make the change, push it to GitHub, automatically does all that for you. And then you just go refresh the GitHub Pages page and look at it and go, yep, that's exactly what I was looking for. You changed the time correctly, just like I wanted. And then you tell the AI agent, go ahead and push that to production. And then it pushes it to the live site. So, and if it's not completely static enough that you could use GitHub Pages, there's other ways to do a staging site. You could literally just set up staging dot whatever the website is, which I've done. So you also could just have a local copy of it on your computer, and you could tell the AI agent to make a change, and then you can view the local copy. And once you verify that it is correct and it's what you wanted, then tell it to deploy live. There's all sorts of solutions that you could set up for your client. But particularly for me, this saves me time. This was so much faster than logging into WordPress and making this change. Just telling my AI agent to do it, and it does it. So this, for me as the manager of the website and as a web developer, AI is saving me a lot of time. Katie liked it. Katie runs Barn2 plugins. And yeah, she basically just was like, yeah, you just ask the AI to make the edits. Yeah, and people who say, "Oh, what if the website's not maintainable? AI is not going to build an AI website is the most maintainable website because you don't have to remember anything. You don't have to understand how BEM works. You don't have to learn Tailwind. You don't have to really think about, oh, should this be a component or should it not be a component? This example of the time, a person building that from scratch might have made that time like some kind of mini component so that they could easily go in and update, from 7 p.m., change it to 6:30 p.m., and then it updates that time everywhere the component's used. That's how you might build a website properly if a human is managing it. But when the AI is managing it, who cares? It's not easier for the AI agent to update a component than it is to search the website find all the instances and update it. I mean, maybe it's technically easier, maybe it's like a millisecond faster, but who cares, right? A website built with AI is the most easily maintainable kind of website because you don't have to think about stuff. The AI can think about it. The AI can scan your entire website in a second and find all the instances that need to be changed based on your prompt, and it can change it. So it's so fast. Um, yeah, Devin says big to differ. The code is sometimes spaghetti, and not having an agent would definitely impede on maintaining it. Yeah, but you have an agent, so I don't understand. Like again, first of all, let's not just assume that the AI is creating spaghetti code. You know, that's a weird assumption. And even if it is creating spaghetti code, again, you don't have to look at the code, so who cares? If your AI agent can understand the code and can easily make the changes you need in a single prompt, it doesn't matter if the code isn't exactly how you would have written the code yourself. It doesn't matter because you're not maintaining the code. The AI agent is doing all the work. Um, yeah, this is a legitimate concern Steve brings up. You know, it seems like AI right now is kind of pretty heavily subsidized, and maybe subsidized isn't the right word, but like it seems like a lot of these AI companies are just not charging enough. They're like right now they're losing money on AI because they're trying to, build their client base to get as many people using their AI as possible. At some point, that's not going to be sustainable. They're all going to have to start raising the prices. And so all this stuff might become more expensive. Um, yeah, Devin, to your point, I know there's other people out there who say the same thing. Um, if you set your AI up properly, you can train it. There's things called skill files that the AI agents use. And so anytime you tell your AI agent to do something and it writes some code and you go look at the code and you go, that's not how I would have done it, just tell it that. Say, hey, I wouldn't have done it this way. I would prefer if it was coded this way. It will update its skill. So the next time it has to do something like that, it will do it the way you want. And you just keep doing that. Every time you see it do something you don't like, tell it you didn't like it. Tell it to update the skill. And after a while, you will have it trained to write code the way that you would like it to be written. So then it's easier for you to jump in and make manual changes if you need to. I have no intention of ever making any manual changes, so I don't care. But if you do care, it's not hard to train the AI agent. You can't if you're just using like Chat GPT, like literally just a website chat bot, you can't really train it. But if you have something like Claude desktop or whatever installed on your computer, or you're using something like OpenClaw, or you're using something like Hermes, uh, you can train it. Devin says, but when AI goes away, and it will go away, I don't know why you think that. The AI is not going away. AI is not going anywhere. Um, Will says, what happens when AI changes things on the page other than your exact edit, like font color? Yeah, it doesn't do that. Again, if I log in and I say, hey, I need you to update the time for the kids ministry from 7 to 6:30 p.m. The AI agent's not going to go, okay, update the time and then change the font and change some colors and like it, I don't I don't know why he's even like where that's coming from. The AI doesn't do that. It's never done that to me before. I've never asked it to change a thing and then it goes off and changes other random things. I have had it not fully understand the change I'm asking for and not do exactly what I wanted it to do, and then I had to kind of follow up and try to be more clear. But AI has never just randomly done stuff I didn't ask it to do. So that's not really a concern. Um, Devin, I love you, bro, but I don't believe you. I don't believe you've ever said go change this text and then it went in and was like, all right, let me change your font from Montserrat to Times New Roman. I don't think it's ever done that. If it's doing stuff like that, you're probably giving it too vague of a prompt, and it's gonna start making decisions. If you might need to just try to be more specific with your prompts. Because that is just not something that I have ever experienced, and I've been elbow deep in AI for the past 3 years. So um, if it's doing that to you, then uh, use something else. Use a better AI, I guess. Um, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You said if you asked it to update the content on the website and then it pretty much rewrote the entire content, well, yeah, that's what you asked it to do. So it just did what you asked it to do. Version control can help with that. If you're using GitHub as your source of truth and you tell it to do something and it doesn't do what you wanted it to do, or it does too much, um, you have GitHub. You can literally just tell it, hey, I didn't like what you just did. Go ahead and revert to the last commit, and it will do that. And then you can try again with a better prompt. Um, so version, and that's just good practice whether you're using AI or not. And I know Devin already does use things like GitHub for version controlling and stuff. So it just makes it very easy to, undo any mistakes that you made personally, or it makes it easy to undo mistakes that your AI agent made if it makes a mistake. Um, okay, yeah, that's the WordPress. That's the WordPress post. We're not going to get into WordPress bashing. This is supposed to be about AI. So, um, I think that's pretty much it for the comments and questions that I've been getting on Twitter recently that I wanted to address. Um, I A lot of it just comes down to misconceptions. People worrying about AI like being a live robot that's just going to randomly make decisions for you when you're at work or something. It doesn't do that. Um, AI has improved quite a bit. I see a lot of people complaining. I see a lot of memes people sharing that are funny, poking fun at AI. They're funny, but they're also just not really relevant anymore. They're poking fun at things that aren't really an issue. Um, Hallucinating has gotten a lot better. AI is not hallucinating nearly as much. It it used to. I mean, back in the day when I was using ChatGPT, because that's all there really was, and I was copying and pasting code, from ChatGPT into VS Code. Uh, those days were rough because it would just make stuff up. It would also randomly change the name of functions. So it would create a function that works great, and it would give that function a name, and then later when it wants to use that function, it would like slightly change the name of the function. So then of course it wouldn't work. It would do just the stupidest things. Um, and that was back in the day. I mean, that's a year and a half ago. It was doing that crap. It doesn't really do that kind of stuff anymore. It's just crazy how quickly AI has improved. Um, Devin says he's been told to be more specific and be vague. Whoever told you to be vague, I would not take much advice from them. I don't know why you would ever want to. I don't think there's ever an advantage ever to being vague, whether you're talking to an AI or a human. If you're talking to a developer, maybe you hired a developer and you want them to do a certain thing on your app, you're going to be as specific as possible with that person so that they have all the information they need and so that they will do exactly what it is that you want them to do. AI is no different. You got to be specific. If you're going to give your AI some vague instructions, it's going to do its best to do what you want. And so it's going to have to try to use some reasoning and figure out what you're trying to do, and then it's going to do stuff. And maybe it gets it right, maybe it doesn't, but a human would do the same thing. If you gave a human some really vague instructions and no follow-up and they weren't allowed to ask you any questions, maybe you'll get lucky, maybe they'll do what you were thinking, but maybe they won't. So be specific. Yeah, Maurice, that's a good point. If you're just trying to brainstorm, I suppose it can help to be kind of vague because then you can just kind of see where the AI is going, what it's thinking about. But when it comes to telling it to do something, be very specific. When it's time to actually build something, be specific. But if you're brainstorming, yeah, it can be nice to be kind of vague and just see what it comes up with, because it will oftentimes come up with things that you didn't think about. So that, yeah, that's a very good point. I just want a spinny thing on the main page, but that's all I know. Yeah, yeah. Um, Basically a dev with experience with Claude, and he's been developing for 15 years. Yeah. Devin, do you remember like the first AI agent that came out was named Devin? I wonder if that's still a thing. Is Devin AI still a thing that people are using? I remember like there was some controversy around it. Like it got really big really quick, and then people discovered something shady about it. Like it was doing something, I don't know. I don't remember what it was. I just remember there was some sort of controversy around it. Um, so the other thing I wanted to do in this video, again, I'll keep answering questions, of course, but I wanted to kind of showcase this thing I built for myself called, uh, I call it my command center, because that's basically what it is. It's sort of just a command center where I can mostly view stuff. It's not something that, weird. It's not something that really allows me to do things. There's a little bit of that. I can update WordPress plugins from the command center, but for the most part, the command center is letting me view things that are helpful. It's connecting to other apps and displaying pretty much everything that I might want to look at in one place. So um, this is it. Should have clicked on that already. Um, so as far as the UI of this goes, I gave it almost no instruction. I basically said, hey, I want to create a command center. It's going to be basically a web app, and I'm going to use it to just display things that will be helpful to me, so I don't have to log into a whole bunch of different things, click over here, click over there to see things. I kind of just want a whole bunch of stuff all in one place for myself. And this is the UI that it came up with. There's a few things that I will probably tweak here and there, but for the most part, I'm happy with it. Um, this is kind of a proof of concept right now. I'm building this for myself right now so that I can learn about it and possibly offer building something like this for clients. And the advantage to doing something like this is, there's other apps and stuff that do this and that, but first of all, a lot of times they cost money, but the biggest problem is they tend to not do everything you need. They do, a lot of them do way more than you need and not quite everything that you do need. And that can be a problem. You're basically compromising. Every time you go to use an app to do something, you're usually compromising. When you build something for yourself like this, it literally only does exactly what you need. It doesn't do anything else, so it's not some big bloated program that has 100 features and you're using 10 of them. It's literally just doing exactly what you want. So I built this for myself. The dashboard is not super useful at the moment. I just told it to create a dashboard and put some stuff on it. And so it chose to put, there's a card here for projects, not super useful for me at the moment. Some flags, and this is mostly invoicing money stuff, recent activity. I could put more stuff on this dashboard. I just haven't really thought about what kind of stuff I want to put there. The biggest value to this is just the specific individual pages. So I can go look at my projects and I can see if they're live or not. So that's helpful. If a website were to go down, it would tell me I need to add more stuff to this. It's only pulling in a few things right now, but I have many more websites than this that I could add to this page, and it would just at a single glance I could see if one of my websites was down, and I could even set it up to give me notification if I wanted to, if that happens. I have a page for analytics. This is real data. Again, I only have 4 websites added here so far, kind of testing things out, just making sure that it works. But this is connecting to my Google Analytics via API. It could obviously connect to any analytics platform that has an API. If you have an analytics platform that you like more than Google Analytics, which probably isn't difficult because Google Analytics is terrible, but it's free, so I keep using it. So it's just showing me some real data. I'm planning to build this out even more. Right now, this is basically all you get. There's no like single page where I could click on, one of these websites and then see more data specifically for just that website. I plan to build this out more, but this is kind of a proof of concept to make sure that I can connect to Google Analytics and pull in real data. And this is all real data. This website, I just added the Google Analytics code to it, so like an hour ago. So it's not pulling in any data yet, but these other ones are pulling in real data. So I can come here and very quickly see, what's my bounce rate on certain things. How many page views am I getting? There's some filters up here, last 7 days, 30 days, year to date. So this is one of those things that I'll probably build out even more as I use it. And if I was building this for a client, again, you would build this exactly the way you want, so it does exactly what you want and nothing else. It shows you the information you want to see and nothing else, as opposed to logging into the Google Analytics dashboard where it shows you so much stuff and it's impossible to find what you're looking for. So, and it's important to probably point out that this app isn't using AI. I haven't integrated AI into this command center. I just used AI to build it. It's just a web app. This is a web app that I can install on my computer, on my phone, whatever. I used AI to build it, but I haven't integrated AI like into it. I could if I wanted to, but I just haven't found a need for that. We have a finance tab here. This is pulling in stuff from my Zoho invoice account and my Stripe account. As you can see, there isn't a ton going on. Like I said, my business is basically dried up. I don't really do much with it anymore. Just a few things here and there. I have some ongoing maintenance clients and whatnot. But this is real data. It's pulling real data from my Zoho invoice. So I can see right here, I have 2 overdue invoices. I don't have to go log into my Zoho invoice account to see that. I can come right here to my command center and I can see, oh, there's 2 overdue invoices. Maybe I want to go into my Zoho account and address that. Maybe I don't care. And then again, Stripe, I can see money that's been coming in. I have stuff blurred out because I'm streaming. But if I were to turn this off, this data would not be blurred anymore. Social, this was just kind of playing around. There's not a lot you can do with social. Not the social. A lot of these social media platforms, you have to pay money to like connect with them, use their API or whatever. So I was able to add a couple Twitter streams if that's something you want in your dashboard. Maybe there's some people you follow on Twitter and you want to be able to see what they're doing. YouTube is pretty easy. You can connect to YouTube API pretty easily. LinkedIn, again, you can't really do anything with that. I think you have to pay. You have to be on LinkedIn Premium. Instagram, they shut down their API, I guess, in 2024. Facebook. So this page was just kind of an experiment. There's not a ton you can do. I suppose if I had LinkedIn Premium, I could do some more LinkedIn stuff. But I was able to put together a little Twitter feed, my own Twitter feed, and then Mark's Twitter feed, and I was able to add some YouTube feeds. So if this is something that that you might find helpful to be able to just quickly check out what some of the people you're following are talking about without having to go to YouTube and without having to go to Twitter. Feed, this is just an RSS feed. I don't know, it's just a random thing that it did. Here's some more of the nuts and bolts, some more useful stuff that I can do from my command center. So this WP Fleet page, these are all WordPress websites. Each one of these is a WordPress website. And I can see some basic information that I don't really care about. I have 23 sites. I don't even know what that's trying to say. I highly doubt all 23 of my websites are on PHP 8.3.6. So a lot of this is still dummy data that the AI put in when I was building out the dashboard. But all this is real, actual dynamic data. So I can click into this website, and I can see all the plugins that are installed. I can see that most of them are waiting for an update. I could click update and update it. I can enable debugging right here. Click on that. And If I update, it's WordPress, so just about everything you do triggers some sort of error. Let's update a plugin, see if we can get an error. We do have one notice that it's hiding because I told it to hide notices because I don't really care. There we go. There's some more notices. So this is what's popping up in the debug log. Luckily, nothing, you know, when I updated that plugin, it didn't trigger any fatals, so that's good. But if it had triggered a fatal, I would see it here in the debug log, and then I could go investigate or whatever. So this is just a, you know, I was using something called Manage WP to do this. It's a GoDaddy thing, and it costs money. I don't need that anymore. I can just come in here, click on a website, update whatever plugins I want, and I can check the debug log to see if updating any of those plugins triggered any errors that I need to be aware of. And then I can clear the log. So there's 7 notices in here now. None of them are important, so I'm going to clear the log. And then I'm just going to turn off debugging. I don't need that anymore for this website. Hey, Mithraz, welcome. Thanks, Blake. I do think it's pretty cool. It's things like this that, you know, was I paying a ton of money for Manage WP? No, they're pretty cheap if I'm being completely honest for what it allows you to do. The cost savings here is not the big thing. It's just the fact that it's easier. I no longer have to go log into Manage WP to do this kind of stuff. I just open my command center, and I could do this from here on my computer. I could do it from my phone, whatever. And this was so easy to build. And now it does require giving your AI access to where the website is hosted, because what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to have to install a plugin on every website and then have some sort of configuration, which you could do that. And you know, and in fact, I actually did do that at first, and then I changed it up to do it this way. So this is using direct access to the website to do these things like WordPress CLI and whatnot. I don't know the exact specifications, of course, but the point is, basically any WordPress website that I put on this hosting account, I'm using a Hetzner box, will show up on this list without me having to like do any setup or configuration. So that's pretty nice. And this debugging thing is, I don't think you can do this with just a plugin. I could be wrong, but because enabling debugging requires changing the WP config file, which I think you just about need SSH access to do that. I don't think you could accomplish that with a plugin. Maybe you could, I don't know. But I know it's not something that I can do in my Manage WP account. Like I can't go into a WordPress website and turn on debugging and then check the log and turn it off again. So that's, to me, that's a pretty cool feature that I have here. And then the forms, we talked about this earlier. This is where my forms show up, or my form submissions, I should say. This is just pulling from the databases. Mithras says it is doable with the plugin. Okay, that's good to know. It's also kind of scary to think about, to know that because one of the common ways a WordPress website gets hacked is they manage to somehow install a plugin on your website that you didn't. In my experience, anyways, when I see a WordPress website that got hacked, it's because there's a WordPress plugin installed on there that I've never heard of in my life, and so it's a little scary to know that you could install a plugin on a website, and then that plugin could edit your WP config file. Hopefully, there's some sort of more configuration involved than just installing a plugin, but that's a little scary. But where was I going? Oh, I also set up a notifier, and this does require a plugin, I think. But I installed a notifier plugin on some of these websites, and it tells me when a plugin is added or deleted or activated. And I'm probably going to change that to only tell me when a plugin is added, because I don't really care if a plugin is deleted or updated. But I definitely want to know if a random plugin is added to one of my websites. And so this is doing that. if I were to add a plugin to a website that this is tracking, it would just tell me. So that's one kind of quick way to know if your website has been compromised. When you get a notification that some plugin was just added to one of your websites and you're like, hold on, I didn't do that. Then you can go in and investigate and get that sorted out. Hopefully before it's too late and before it does things that are, too destructive. But back to the forms. So yeah, this is pretty simple. I mean, it's just the form on the website, and I only have two so far: Apex Branding and Design, and then my friend's website, Master Carpenters LLC. When you fill out the form on the website, it saves that form submission to the database. That's standard. Any WordPress plugin would also do that, right? It stores it to the database so that you can log into the dashboard and see the submissions. Even if an email didn't go out, you can at least log in and see the submissions. And so that's basically what this is doing. This command center is connecting to the database for these websites and pulling in the form submission data. Again, I have it all blurred out. These two were test submissions, and then this one is an actual real submission that I got yesterday, I believe, looking for some logo work. And so not only can I come here and click on forms and see my form submissions, but I also get a notification on my phone. So I don't have to like keep logging in here every day to see if I got a form submission. I get a notification on my phone that says I got a form submission, and then I can go look at it. And that way I can, follow up with the person right away, because the faster you follow up with a lead, the better your chances are of actually making the sale. So my phone goes beep, I look at it, oh, I got a form submission. I can click on it, and if I want to follow up with them, I'll go ahead and follow up with them. I can mark it as spam, and then I can click this to see my spam. There it is. And then I can say, oh, that's actually not spam. And I can click that. Yeah, so this is how I am managing my form submissions from now on. Because as I mentioned earlier, in case somebody has joined, since I talked about this already a little bit, I'm not concerned with sending an email to the person who filled out the form to clutter their email inbox with thank you for submitting our form, we'll be in touch. I don't personally like getting those emails. I don't think they provide me any value. So I'm not sending those emails to them either. I just put a little message on the website that says, hey, thanks for filling out the form. So they get that. So they feel confident that the form actually worked. And then I just get I get the notification and I can see the form submissions here. So that's how I'm doing it. No SMTP required. This took a fair amount of setup to get going, but now that it's set up, all I have to do is tell my AI agent, if I was to build another website and put a form on it, I would just say, hey, go ahead and get that form connected to my command center the same way you did the other two sites, and it will just do it. So no setup required, no creating SMTP accounts, and no messing with domain DNS settings and all that kind of stuff, which also gets annoying if it's a client and they don't want to give you access to the DNS settings. So then you have to like email them and be like, hey, can you log into your Squarespace account and go update the DNS settings in this way? I don't have to mess with any of that. I just give my AI a single prompt and we're good to go. If I was setting this up for a client, I don't know. If I was setting them up with a command center, like they're paying me to do that, then I might set up something like this similar for them. But I have a feeling if I got a new client today and they wanted a website, they would probably just want to get an email. So I would probably just do it the way I have done in the past, which is also it's at least a little bit easier with AI. You still have to go create an account with Brevo or SendGrid or whatever. You still have to update your DNS settings, but then I can just grab my API key and I can give it to my AI agent and I can say, hey, go ahead and set up this form to send emails, and here's the email I want to send. I want to send me an email or the client an email that says, hey, your form was filled out. And then we want to send their customer an email saying, thanks for filling out the form, whatever. And it handles all that for me. But for myself, this is what I'm doing for myself moving forward. And any client, if this is what they actually want, if they want to do it this way, I'll set that up for them. But that's pretty much it for this command center. I'm still, like I said, I'm still building it out. I'm still trying to brainstorm ideas. What else could I add to this thing to make my life easier? Somebody on Twitter mentioned like connecting things to a CRM. You know, you could easily do that if you're using a CRM that has a good API. You could easily pull that CRM data into this dashboard, so you could see all that here without having to log into the CRM all the time. There's just all sorts of things that you can do with something like this, and a lot of it I just need to build out more. Like the finance tab, it's working. I'm pulling in real data, but there's probably more I could do. There's probably more pertinent information I could display here. I could mess around with notifications more. Maybe you want to get a notification whenever you receive a payment. I mean, you could set that up pretty easily. All sorts of things. So if nobody has any questions about like this command center, again, this is not really utilizing AI. I just used AI to build it, and you could very easily do the same thing if you set up something on your computer like Claude Desktop or Hermes OpenClaw. You could very easily set something up like this for yourself. Just a helpful little dashboard with information that that is pertinent to you and your business. Oh, I just realized, Mithras, you are Marcin, aren't you? I knew that name looked familiar. That's the same as your Twitter handle. I don't know if you're still with us or not, but so I guess I can talk about if you guys are interested. I can show you maybe some projects that I have been working on that I've used AI to create. One of the things that I'm working on right now, my friend and I are in the process of basically starting I'm going to call it an AI business. I hate how that sounds. It just sounds very buzzwordy and very, trendy, whatever. Everybody and their brother is starting an AI business, but we're going to be offering AI consulting. So basically, if you're like a medium to large size business and you want to integrate AI into your business, or you want to maybe use AI to build some things like the command center, things like that, we would offer consulting, and we would offer, to basically build you custom things and help you integrate AI into your business. Maybe you want to set up, you want to get a Hermes agent set up, but you just don't really know how. We would help you with that. But we also will be creating some products, and we've created one product we call it Sender Safety. And what it does, what it originally did, the MVP, was let's say you're like a law firm and you're pretty particular about the emails that your employees are sending out. You don't want your employees sending out information that might contain sensitive customer information or something like that. You also may be concerned about, I don't know, an employee trying to poach your clients and then leave your company or something. Or you just don't, you want to make sure your employees aren't sending out emails with swear words, like whatever it is you might be concerned about. What this service does is it basically scans your outgoing email and looks for violations to rules that you set up. And if an email violates the rule, which the MVP was basically just a list of words or phrases that you want blocked. If it sees a word or phrase that you added to your list, it will just not send that email. So the way it works is it directs your email from your Google Workspace or your Office 365 to our server. It scans the email, and if it doesn't violate any of your rules that you set up, then it continues on and sends the email to the destination. If it does violate the rule that you set up, then it just doesn't send the email out, and you get a notification that says, hey, the email is blocked. And then you can see, from your dashboard, if as the admin of your company's email account, you could see how many emails were scanned, how many were blocked, how many were allowed. There's logs, so you can see all the emails that went out, whether they were blocked or not. There's a setup guide, so it just tells you how to, you got to add your domain, and there's a little bit of work you have to do in your Google Workspace account to basically redirect all your emails to our server. And then what we're currently working on and trying to improve is we want to, because that's very basic, and also I believe Google Workspace and Microsoft 365 actually offer this service in their plans if you have like a high enough tier. I don't think it's on their lowest tier plans, but if you're paying a certain amount, then I think you have this feature built in. So what we're also trying to do is we're trying to responsibly include AI into this, because it's very difficult to, there's not a lot of value in just having a list of words that you want blocked. There may be an instance where, you know, your one of your employees sends out an email that if as a human being you're reading the email and you're like, oof, I don't think he should have sent that email. That was not appropriate. He talked a little bit too much about a particular client, and I don't think that we should have sent that information to that. So there's times where reasoning is required to determine if an email should have maybe not gone out, and something that just can't be accomplished with just a list of blocked words or phrases. So we're trying to implement AI into it, and this what we're struggling with right now is we don't want to send the email content off to like Claude's servers or whatever and then get a response back. So we're experimenting with local AIs, and so we have an AI LLM installed on our server so that the email content isn't being sent anywhere. It's staying on our server until it's scanned and then either sent or blocked, and then it's deleted from our server. And so, which works, but those local LLMs just aren't as good. And so we're kind of struggling with finding a good local LLM that actually has really good reasoning. We're finding that it's either, just basically trying to block everything or basically trying to allow everything. And it's just not very good at reading the email content and coming to a reasonable decision. And part of that is because we're starting with like the simplest, cheapest, smallest one, and we're kind of basically building up, and we're going to just keep experimenting with better and better models until we finally get to one that actually works really well. But I think that could provide a lot of value, because then you as the email admin can create your own rules, and it's more than just a list of words or phrases that you want blocked. You can create your own rules and prompts, and then the AI can use your prompt and your rule and use some reasoning, and then determine if an email maybe should not have gone out. And then you would get a notification that your employee tried to send this email, and here's what it said, and here's why we blocked it. And then you can decide, you know what, actually I think that email is fine, go ahead and send it. Or, oof, I'm glad we blocked that, I need to have a conversation with that employee. So that's something we're working on right now. It is working. It is all functional. Like I said, the biggest issue right now is just that the agent isn't very good, and it's not doing a great job of properly reasoning whether or not an email should be blocked or not. The list works because that's super easy. Just scanning an email and seeing if there's a word in there that's not supposed to be, and if it is, you block it. That's working great. That provides a little bit of value, but once we get the AI portion of this working well, I think that's going to provide a lot more value to some institutions. So that's the plan, is to offer AI consulting, and then also we will have some actual products that we're selling. This is the only one we have so far. One project that I've been working on for a while, and I kind of stopped because I got discouraged, was I'm calling it League HQ. I play an adult soccer league, and they were using an app called TeamSnap to manage the league. And the league director was always complaining about how he didn't like it. And so I spent like a month building an app that you could use to manage a sports league. Um, and then I reached out to him and I was like, "Hey, just curious, do you still hate TeamSnap? Are you still looking to switch to something?" And he goes, "Yeah, actually, we just vibe coded our own solution, and we're gonna launch it this next session." And so I was like, pretty bummed about that because I was kind of expecting him to be sort of my first client, even if I let him use it for free or really cheap for a couple sessions to try it out and be my guinea pig and provide some feedback. I was kind of expecting him to kind of be my first client, and then he just went and vibe coded his own thing, anyways. And for the record, it's terrible. Like nobody likes it. It's full of just, I'm not gonna say bugs, but just terrible UI quirks, and it's just awful. Mine, I have no problem saying mine is just 1,000 times better, but probably because he's just an engineer. He doesn't have any product management experience. Um, and he also, when he described his setup to me, I was like, "So what are you using to build this?" He listed off probably four different AI solutions. He's like, "Oh, for this I use this AI, and for that I use." I'm like, "Why are you using four different like AI products to build one single thing?" It's just odd to me. Um, because then they all have to try to, you have to try to educate them all, you know? If one AI is going to work on something, it needs to know what the other AI did. Um, it's just going to be all disjointed, and it's probably a big reason why the app is so terrible. I mean, it technically works, it is accomplishing what it needs to accomplish, but it's just a pain to use. Everybody hates it, everybody's always complaining about it. So that's frustrating, and that got me a little discouraged, and so I kind of haven't done much with this. But before I got discouraged, I got this app to the point where it's probably like it could be used. You could use it. There's probably a couple features that you would be like, "Oh, I wish it did this," and that I would need to add. But it functions. You are able to log in, create an account as a league director, and you can add your Stripe account to it, and then you can create a session and a price and all that stuff, and you can send out the link, and people click on the link and they purchase it, and the money goes into your Stripe account. Um, and then also the money goes into my Stripe account when a league director creates an account and they purchase a plan or whatever. So all that stuff is working. It's all and there's a, it's got all the things you would expect. It's got a chat feature, so folks can chat with the members of their team. They can also, there's a big group chat for everybody in the league. There's a scheduling app where you can just plug in the teams and you can say, "Hey, here's the times. We play on Sundays between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m." And it will just create a whole schedule for you. And then, of course, users can view the schedule. I think there's a standings. I can't remember if I built that out or not, but it's basically, like I said, it's like 90% probably of what you would want if you're running a sports league. Um, and so I don't know. At some point, I'll probably pick it up. My friend and I might finish this app up, bring it across the finish line, and we might add this app to our list of apps that we are offering alongside Sender Safety. I don't know. We'll see. But this was a lot of fun to build, and it works really well. Rob wants my hat. Rob, aren't you Canadian? You're not supposed to want an America hat. I think we're supposed to hate each other. I think that's how it works. Um, what else have I been working on? Humanslop.org. I think I'm going to abandon this. The idea for this was to scan WordPress plugins in the WordPress directory, and if it found severe security issues, it would like notify the plugin developer. The problem is that's almost impossible to do. If they don't put like an email address or something in their WordPress.org listing, there's like no way to reach out to them via the WordPress.org API or anything. Um, I had it set up to where it would automatically create an issue on their WordPress.org customer support page, but every time I did that, it got the post got blocked, and they said you can't share security issues publicly like that. And I wasn't sharing security public issues. The post simply said, hey, we found issues, reach out to us and we'll tell you what they are. We weren't actually putting the issues in the post, but they were still getting auto blocked by the moderators, and nobody ever got back to me about it. So this project kind of died. It worked. It'll scan a WordPress plugin. It'll find issues. It's just there's no way to automate letting the plugin author know that we found some issues, which is where the real value is. Obviously, just going and finding issues doesn't help anybody. But if you find some vulnerabilities in a plugin, and you can reach out to the plugin author and say, hey, just so you know, I found these vulnerabilities. You might want to go fix that. There would be value in that, but I haven't figured out a way to. About all I can do is you can report a plugin to WordPress.org. I don't want to do that. I'd rather reach out to the developer first before just going straight to reporting a plugin to the WordPress team. Like I don't want to do that. So this project probably died, but I built this with AI a few months ago. NoMoreSlop.com. This is basically just a website with AI related resources. So if you are trying to build stuff with AI, there's a lot of different resources in here that will help you, not ship slop and crap. If it helps, yeah, they would report it to the author, but I don't know if I want to escalate it like that, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I should. If it finds an actual security vulnerability, maybe the responsible thing would be to just report it. But I would hate for a plugin, I don't know. If I was a developer of a plugin, I'd be super annoyed if somebody found an issue and just reported it to the team without telling me. But again, the flip side to that is, you know, if you don't put like an email address or some way to contact you in your WordPress.org listing, and WordPress.org doesn't have any built-in way of contacting a plugin developer, maybe that's your only option. So I don't know. I might rethink it. I might rethink that and turn this back on. I was also struggling to get it to. I wanted it to just automatically scan, find a random plugin in the directory like every night, just once a day. Go find a random plugin, scan it, look for vulnerabilities. I was struggling to get that to work. It kept trying to just scan the same plugin every night. It was weird. But that was a couple months ago, so I might revisit this and consider turning it back on. But this one, No More Slop. This is basically just information. There's a list of some skills that I think are pretty good. So if you're trying to build with WordPress, here's a couple WordPress related skills that you might want to give your AI agent. This one's coming from ClawHub, which is from OpenClaw. OpenClaw has a repository of skills. Looks like both of these are from ClawHub. You don't have to be using OpenClaw to use these skills, just so you know. If you're like me and you're using Hermes, you could still use this skill. And so you can view the skill. And again, if you don't know what a skill is, oh, it looks like they got rid of this skill. That's awesome. I guess that's the risk of open source stuff. It's they could just abandon it at any point. So whoever created this WordPress Pro skill and put it on ClawHub, they deleted it. What about this one? Does this one still exist? They deleted that one too. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. This might be my fault. Nope. That's a weird URL structure that they're using. Interesting. Are there any WordPress skills on ClawHub? Yes, there are. Just not the ones that I was referencing earlier. Interesting. So there's a WordPress REST API skill. Huh. Anywho, just be aware that some of these things might not exist anymore. I can't really control that. I could probably build something in here to check broken links every once in a while, but so there's a bunch of tools here. So if you're building in PHP, you might want to consider integrating some of these skills into your project. Some of them are pretty common. Like if you have been in development for 5 minutes, you probably know what PHP CS, a PHP stan is. But maybe some of these other things you haven't heard of. There's things that will connect to your GitHub account and will automatically scan when you push, when you push a commit to GitHub, it'll scan it and look for various errors. And there's some overlap in these apps. Some of these things will find the same stuff, but some of them will also look for things that the other apps aren't looking for. So definitely just consider using some of these things. Probably what I would do if I was building a project, and maybe you're building something in WordPress, so that's going to be PHP. You're building like a WordPress plugin. Share this page with your AI agent and say, hey, which of these tools do you think I should use and why? And it'll tell you. These are very easy to implement. I would say probably if you're building anything in PHP, you should be probably using these two at the very least. But these are, this is a specific one for, you can set it up to look specifically for WordPress coding standards. But these aren't always going to find a lot of security related issues. So you might want to use something like Socket or Snyk for that. And if you're building something with TypeScript, there's some things for that. So this is just a tool. If you're trying to build stuff with AI, I recommend checking out this website, nomoreslop.com. And I believe I made this website should be easily scrapable by an AI agent. So I believe if you just gave it this URL and said, hey, here's a bunch of tools that some guy says are helpful. Which ones do you think I should use for this project? And it will tell you. So yeah, I built this website with AI. If you guys are interested in what AI can do as far as building a website, here's a website that exists, and my buddy shared this with me. He asked me to just kind of look at the website and give him some feedback about it, which I did, but then I also went ahead and told my AI to rebuild it. And this is what it came up with. And if you ask me, this looks pretty darn good. I mean, I didn't give it much of a prompt. I shared the existing website. I said, here's a website. I want you to rebuild it, redesign it, use the same content, use the same images. And it came up with, it actually didn't, the first version of this whole part over here was completely blank. And I was like, that's a lot of just empty white space. So I found this image on their existing website. I opened it up in Photopea, and I deleted everything to the left of it. I just erased that. And I gave it the image and I said, hey, why don't you throw this image in that hero section on the right hand side? And I think it turned out really cool. I like how that looks. And then I told it to add a little parallax effect to the hero section, and it did that. Yeah, I don't know if you can see, but there's like little sparks floating up from the bottom. It did that on its own. I never told it to do that. It just did that. I thought that was pretty cool because it saw that, it saw this copy on the original website, and it must have decided, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we added a little little spark feature there? But this to me looks really good, and you could sit there and nitpick it all you want. I know people who will just, the second you tell them a website was built with AI, they will hate it before they even look at it. And if you want to sit there and nitpick it, you can, but there's no way you can tell me that this is better. You know what I mean? And no shade to whoever built this. It's not absolutely terrible. I think it was built with GoDaddy. It gets the job done, but there's no way you're going to convince me that this isn't better than that original. And my friend loved it, by the way. That whether or not we're going to actually implement it, he has to talk to the board. And I think he told me that they like it, but they already purchased like a 3-year plan with GoDaddy or something. So I don't know. I'm going to talk to him and be like, look, I'm offering this to him for free. If he has to pay for that GoDaddy stuff anyways, if you already paid for it, you already paid for it. You're not getting that money back. There's no sense in just forcing yourself to use an inferior product just because you already paid for it, because I'm not going to charge him for this. I told him, I said, I'll host this on my server for you for free, and I will not charge you for the 5 minutes I put into building it. So we'll see. I think at some point this will probably go live. I just need to have more conversation with him. But that's one example of a website that I built recently with AI, where I just let AI design it. I didn't give it a bunch of prompting or whatever. Here's another one. And this one is built in M-Dash, which, yeah, I don't know. I actually thought that I changed my mind and decided not to build it in M-Dash, but I discovered recently that that was incorrect. I did in fact build it in M-Dash, and by I built it, I mean my AI agent built it. But regardless, this guy is a friend of mine who doesn't have a website. I've known him for years. I actually worked for him for a while back in the day. He's a carpenter. He's trying to focus on decks and siding, but when I was working for him, he did anything. I mean, we did bathroom remodels and just all sorts of random stuff. But he doesn't have a website. He does have a Google My Business listing, which also I set up for him like 10 years ago or something. So for this, I literally just shared the link to the Google My Business listing with my AI agent, and I said, hey, build a website for this guy. And he came up with, the hero section looked different. I told it I didn't like the hero section. I said, why don't you try to go with some sort of like full screen image in the background type layout? And then this is what it came up with. So this was a 2-prompter basically. I gave it one prompt, it built the whole website. I didn't like the hero section, so I gave it another prompt and it came up with this, and I liked it. But it's pretty, again, nitpick it, go for it, I don't care. But this is not a bad looking website. This is a good looking website, and it works. And again, he doesn't have a website, so it's, almost anything is better than nothing, right? But I've been trying to tell him, look, I know you get lots of referrals. His phone never stops ringing. He's been in business for like a decade, and he's never had a website, and he doesn't think he needs one because his phone keeps ringing. But then I talked to him a couple weeks ago, and I was like, so you've been trying to focus on decks and siding for like the past year or two, right? How's that going? And he's like, basically it's not working. He's still just getting all sorts of calls for everything. You know what is a great way to try to focus on a particular niche in your industry? Having a website and telling people this is what I do, right? If you want to focus on decks and siding, you need to make it clear that that's what you do. And that's very difficult to do when you're out there and you've been in business for 10 years and you've been doing all sorts of random stuff. You've been remodeling people's bathrooms and kitchens and doing drywall and basements and blah, 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 blah. And then those people are referring you to other people who want that crap done. You can't focus. You can't niche down that way, just going off referrals. It's great that he gets so many referrals. He does great work. People love him and they tell their friends about him. But if you're trying to focus on a niche, you have to like somehow tell people that. People need to know what you do, and you don't have to turn down work. If you have a website like this that says, hey, we do decks and siding, and somebody calls you and they want a bathroom remodel, and you want to take that job, you can. You don't have to turn everything down that's not what you want to do. But if you're trying to get more calls for a specific type of work, you got to put that on your website. You got to put that in your Google business listing. You got to put it on your Facebook profile. Everything you do should be all about, I do decks and siding. And if somebody calls you and they want a bathroom remodel and you want to take the job, go for it. If you don't want to take it, don't. But so that's what I've been trying to get through to him. If referrals is your only marketing, then you get what you get. You get the phone calls that you get. You're not going to have any control. unless you're trying, if you want to tell every single client, hey, please don't refer me to anybody who, unless they want a deck or siding. Like, you're probably not going to do that, right? So anyways, I built this with AI. I'm pretty happy with it. It's not blowing anybody's mind. It's not winning any awards for, design, but it's a clean website. It focuses on what he wants to do, and I don't know. I'm happy with it. Again, it took me like 5 minutes to build it, which is pretty impressive, I think. I built this website for a friend of mine. He's an artist. He wants to. He doesn't have work yet to put on the website. Artwork, I would say. He's currently working on building and hand carving a rocking horse, like a full blown rocking horse, and he's going to build the entire thing out of wood from by hand, and he's carving it. And so that's what this video is about. But right now, all he has is some commercial work that he's done. He worked for a company, Flexzilla, for quite a while. He's done some other commercial stuff. Once he gets more work, more artwork that he's done, we'll add on to this website. But AI designed this website. If I remember correctly, the prompt I gave, I think there was one or two other websites that he liked that I might have shared with the AI and said, hey, here's a couple websites my client likes. But I basically gave it this logo, which is my friend. He just signed his name in a gold pen. And I said, I need a website. And I don't know. Again, it's nothing crazy special, but I like it. I think it looks elegant. I think once we get more work here that's not just commercial work, once we get actual artwork, this commercial work section will probably not even be on the homepage. Because again, we're trying to focus. Yes, he's done commercial work. He's not really looking to get into more commercial work. He wants to do more artwork, and he wants to sell artwork. So once we get to that point where he has more stuff to put up on the website, this will not be on the homepage anymore. You'll have to click on commercial art to see it. So I'm excited for that to happen when we get to that point, to build this website out a little bit more. But in the meantime, I think the AI did a pretty good job. I think it's elegant. I think once we get more artwork on here, it's really gonna say, hey, this guy's an artist. Hire him or buy his stuff. This is actually WordPress too, though. I had it designed by AI, and then I built it. I think I built it with Etch. Yep, it's WordPress. So built in WordPress, but designed by AI. Yeah, I don't know. I built a lot of websites with AI at this point. Obviously, this was built with AI, built and designed. This took a little bit of prompting to get it to make it look not stupid. And I also get that this is kind of trendy, and it's the thing people are probably tired of seeing, but I don't care. I liked it anyways. And I liked this. AI came up with this line: vibe coding is fine, shipping bad code isn't. I think that's a great line. Don't be afraid to vibe code, but also, put in some effort to make sure you're not shipping slop. And that's what these tools and skills can help you with. Also, I don't know, Marcin, if you're still here, I want to talk a little bit about something that I did. I built a WordPress plugin, and I built it using a lot of these tools and skills that we have here. And then I reached out to Marcin and I paid him to review the plugin. And Marcin is a guy who, I hope I'm saying his name right. He has been, as you can see, he has 15 years of WordPress development. So he knows how to build a WordPress plugin. He used to be a CTO for a company. He's built a bunch of his own projects and things. He is a very experienced WordPress developer who knows what he's doing. He also has been elbow deep in AI for the past several years, and he knows he's built a lot of things with AI, and he knows where AI likes to screw up and how it likes to do various things that as a senior developer he did not appreciate. So he offers a service, and I utilized this service where he will review your plugin that you created, you know, whether you created it with AI or not, you know, he'll review it. But I think a lot of people are going to be a lot of people who are creating stuff with AI, and they're like, I really wish I could get a human developer to look at this and just tell me that it's okay. Um, Marcin is the guy for that. He reviewed my WordPress plugin and he gave it a B plus right off the bat, which was, you know, people like to assume that everything that comes out of AI is just complete trash, garbage, slop. He told me that this plugin was better than like 80% of plugins that he's seen humans create. And he gave me feedback. Obviously, he gave me some specific things about the plugin that you know, could have been done better. And so then obviously I went and I addressed those things, and then I paid him for a follow-up review, and he looked at it again, and I think he upgraded me to uh, an A minus. So it is possible to build things with AI that are actually good and that can be approved by an experienced, knowledgeable human being. So if you're out there and you're thinking that you can't create anything good with AI and then it's all going to be slop, that is not true. I'm telling you, come to this website, check out some of these tools, build something, and then reach out to Marcin and pay him to look at it. And then what you do is the things that the feedback that he provides, take that feedback to your AI, of course, have him fix the issues, but then also make sure to tell the AI, hey, go ahead and update your skill to include these things so that the next time it builds something, it doesn't make the same mistakes. That's what we're doing. We're training our AI using skills so that it doesn't keep making the same mistakes over and over again. But like I said, I got a B plus from a plugin right off the bat with zero feedback from Marcin, just me building with AI using some of these tools. I sent it over to Marcin and he gave it a B plus. So that to me is pretty uh, impressive that as a non-developer, because I'm not a developer, you know, I'm a junior intern developer. I would never be able to create a WordPress plugin all by myself. With the help of AI, I was able to come up with the plugin that was better than 80% of plugins that Marcin has seen from human beings. So it's possible. It's possible to ship good stuff with AI. I promise you. And if you really just want that peace of mind, then go pay Marcin for a review. And then you can have that peace of mind of knowing that an experienced developer looked at your code and gave you the thumbs up. I think that's probably it. If anybody's curious about how I'm actually doing this stuff, I am using something called Hermes. I don't even know the website. Hermes. Okay. It's from this company that I cannot pronounce. I don't know how to pronounce this name. Noose Research, whatever. So Hermes is a thing that you install on your computer, and then you connect it to an AI. I have kind of a weird convoluted setup. I'm using Copilot from GitHub, and I'm using Claude Opus, I think 4 point, I don't even know. I recently just moved from Sonnet to Opus after Kevin made fun of me for still using Sonnet. But anyways, you install Hermes, and Hermes is basically the agent. It's like it's the whole program, it's the body, it's everything. It just needs a brain. So you have to connect it to Claude, or you have to connect it to Codex, or whatever AI LLM you want to use. You have to connect it. So you'll need to get like a subscription, whatever. You can go to Claude, get a subscription, and then you can connect that to your Hermes agent. And then you have an agent. And this is an agent that lives on your computer, so it can actually do stuff, as opposed to people who just use like ChatGPT or Grok. you know, those are cool tools. They're basically like Google search but better. But they can't actually do stuff. Like ChatGPT can't build an app for you. It can give you code, and then you could copy that code and go put it in VS Code or whatever, but it can't actually do stuff. Um, Having an agent on your computer that can actually do stuff is pretty useful. Um, it can build stuff locally. You know, I can go to my AI agent and say, "Hey, I want you to build a website using Astro, whatever you want it to use," and it'll just do it. And then it'll be like, "Hey, your website is ready. It's in this folder," or it might put it on the local host URL, so you can click on that. Um, and then I'll tell it sometimes, "Hey, go ahead and ngrok that." Ngrok is a service that will take your local app and it will like give it a live link so you can share with people so they can look at it. Um, it can do all sorts of stuff, man. It can run you know, it can make API calls and all sorts of stuff. It can connect to things via API, CLI, whatever, and it can just actually do stuff as opposed to like ChatGPT, where you're basically just asking it questions and it's giving you information back. Um, there's something else called OpenClaw, which I was using. It basically does the same thing, but then I tried Hermes when I heard about it, and I basically prefer Hermes. I'm still actually using both technically. I have OpenClaw installed on this computer, and then I have Hermes installed on a laptop, which is right there next to my computer. And then I communicate with these bots via Discord. Let me check the chat in Discord before I let you see it to make sure I'm not showing anything. Yeah, I'm not going to show that. But just know that I'm communicating right now. When I want my AI agent to do something, I just go to Discord and I have a DM with my agent, and so I can do this from my computer. Of course, I can do it from my phone. I I'm almost never on my computer anymore. 99% of what I'm doing is literally just from my phone. I'm just like talking to it, saying, "Hey, I want you to do this. Hey, I want you to build a website. Whatever it is I want it to do." Um, and I'll be sitting, you know, which is so fun because you could be sitting at the dentist office in the waiting room, right? You're waiting for your kid to come out. You're just sitting there building crap, you know, from your phone, just managing this AI agent. It's building stuff, um, and so I don't know. It's just I find myself, you know, when I'm bored, I used to just sit there and doom scroll YouTube. I still do a little bit of that, but now a lot of times when I'm bored, I'm sitting there waiting for something. I'm on Discord telling my agent to do stuff. Um, and so it's pretty, I don't know, it's pretty crazy what you can do. Like I said, I started out in ChatGPT just copying and pasting code back and forth, and that at the time felt so cool. But now thinking about doing that makes me want to jump off a cliff. Like I can't even imagine trying to build something that way anymore. Um, this is just so much better, so much better. And you can give it access to things. It has access to my Hermes account, my Hermes box. If I wanted a website to go live, I would add the domain to my Cloudflare account. I would point my Cloudflare a record to my Hetzner IP address, and I would just tell my AI agent, "Hey, uh, I just pointed this domain to my Cloudflare account or to my Hetzner account. I want you to build a website. Give it whatever prompt. Here's what the website is. Here's some content, whatever, blah blah blah. Uh, Go ahead and do it, and it will build the website and it will upload it to my Hetzner account. It can do the same thing for Cloudflare. It has access to my Cloudflare account via API, and so like what did I do? I think this one is on Cloudflare. Um, you know, I know for sure the other one is, but anyways, um, it's same thing. I can say, hey, I want to host this website on Cloudflare. I'm going to use, you know, D1 database and R2 whatever bucket for assets. I'm still trying to figure out a lot of this Cloudflare lingo. Um, but it will do it. It'll set it up, and it can either deploy directly to Cloudflare if you're using their workers. It can deploy straight to Cloudflare. If you aren't using workers, you could you can connect Cloudflare to your GitHub account, and what you can do is you can push things to GitHub, and then Cloudflare will automatically pick that up and deploy. So that's a use case where you could use GitHub Pages as your staging site. You could tell your AI, build this thing and push it to, you can have a branch called staging or whatever, development. It pushes it to development. You can have your GitHub Pages pull from that branch. Then you go view the GitHub page and you can say, okay, that looks good. Then you go back to your AI agent and say, hey, that looked good. Go ahead and merge that into main. And then once you merge it into main, Cloudflare picks that up, automatically deploys it, and your website's live. So you can use GitHub Pages as kind of your staging environment, or you can just use a local instance of the website as your staging environment. You can just have it build locally, and you can check the local version. And once you like it, you can go back to your AI agent and say, hey, that looks good. Go ahead and push live, whatever. You could put staging on a domain. I could have staging.mastercarpentersllc.com, and I could push to that. There's all sorts of options for staging to make sure that things look good before you go live. Yeah, Brendan says Hermes for life. Yeah, man, did you try OpenClaw first and then switch to Hermes like I did? I think OpenClaw has actually gotten better. I was having a lot of issues with OpenClaw running out of like context or whatever, and or just kind of dying on me, just like going away, like not doing anything, and then I have to go and restart the gateway, just random stuff like that. Hermes is also better about creating and maintaining skills. A lot of times it will create a skill without you even having to ask it to do that, and then it will oftentimes update the skill. I'll tell it, hey, we'll troubleshoot something, and I'll be like, hey, you should probably update your skill to, with what we just learned during this troubleshooting, and it'll be like, oh yeah, I already did that. And so it's just, Hermes is pretty good. If you're looking at OpenClaw versus Hermes, I would recommend going with Hermes. Although I feel like I've had OpenClaw do a few things recently just because my Hermes agent might already be doing something. So then I'll hop over to my OpenClaw agent and tell it to do something. And it does seem to me like OpenClaw is a lot better and more stable than it used to be. So there's that. Brendan, so you briefly used OpenClaw. I used OpenClaw for quite a while actually. Did quite a bit in OpenClaw before I switched over to Hermes. And also found that Hermes was way easier to get set up. The first time I tried to set up OpenClaw, I actually gave up. I was like, this is just too complicated. I didn't understand what any of it was. And then like an hour later, I was like, no, you know what? I'm not giving up. I'm going to go back and try it. And I went back and I managed to get it set up and working. But I almost gave up on it. Hermes was a lot easier to set up, and maybe OpenClaw is easier to set up now than it was in the past, but that was just my experience. Hermes was way easier to get set up. OpenClaw was just asking a lot of questions that I didn't understand, and that's why I gave up on it. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, who cares? Let's just do it. If I don't understand what it's asking, I'm just going to pick an option. And usually it has a recommended option. It would be like, do you want to do this? And I'm like, I don't know what that even means. And it'll have like 3 options and one of them will be recommended. So I just went back and I was like, I just enter. Pretty much just, if I didn't understand what it was asking, I just picked an option and went with it. And it worked. I got it set up. I think a lot of that stuff probably just doesn't matter too much. It's kind of like, my friend used to say, there's 10 right ways to do it, just pick one. I think that probably applied to setting up OpenClaw as well. But the cool thing about it is it's smart. So I couldn't figure out how to get it connected to Discord. So I just asked it. I opened up the OpenClaw. They have like an OpenClaw GUI that you can use to, talk to the AI agent, of course. And I just told it, I was like, hey, I'm trying to get you connected to Discord and it's not working. And it just did it. It like set it up for me. So that was kind of nice. That was my first sort of, wow, this is actually a pretty smart, useful useful thing. But then, like I said, I ended up switching to Hermes later. Much easier to set up. Yeah, man. I think that's probably it for this. It's 1 o'clock for me. I'm getting hungry. I need some lunch. I normally don't have Fridays off, but I had today off, so I thought, why not do a live and address some of these AI questions? Um, if you guys have any more AI questions you just want to ask me, I'm not claiming to be the most knowledgeable, experienced person in the world. Don't just assume everything that I say is true. But if you guys do have more questions about AI and stuff, um, definitely reach out to me on Twitter for sure, or LinkedIn if you're into that sort of thing. But also, if you're just interested in some of this stuff, and just talking with other people about building with AI, I highly recommend joining Mark Szymanski's community. There should be a link to that in the description of this video. Um, it's a very affordable, inexpensive community. He's not trying to become a millionaire, bazillionaire with this community, but he does offer a lot of value in the community. And there's also value in being part of the community and talking to other people who are in that group. You're going to get some exclusive content from Mark in that community that isn't isn't on his YouTube channel. So it's just a good community to be a part of. You can learn a lot from Mark, and you can learn a lot from the other people in the community, and it's a good place to go bounce ideas around, um, and uh, and share the projects that you're working on and get feedback and whatnot. So definitely check that out. Brendan loves that Hermes skills improve as I work with it. Yeah, that's the biggest, and I think that's kind of their marketing too. What they focus on is the fact that it learns easier kind of on its own. With OpenClaw, I always had to like specify every single time. I'd be like, hey, add this to your skill. First of all, create a skill, and then add this to the skill. And then we troubleshoot something, and I say, hey, did you learn anything in all that troubleshooting that you think should probably go in the skill? And it'll be like, yeah, let me update that. Hermes tends to do that sort of stuff automatically without you having to babysit it. So, yeah, that is definitely benefit, and I think that's kind of their main selling point. They talk about um, how it learns. Yeah, the agent that grows with you. Yeah, you can also. I don't know if you could install it on Windows. When I did this, so I installed mine. I'm using Windows, but I have WSL installed, which is like a Linux container sort of thing. It's not really a container. It's kind of weird. It's like Linux, but it's also somewhat integrated with your Windows. I don't know. It's hard to explain. But that's how I did it. So I have a Windows laptop, and I have WSL installed, and I installed it in the WSL instance. But you don't have to do that. You can just straight up install it on Windows or Mac OS. So that's pretty cool. I don't think this was an option when I first installed it. The website's a little odd. A little odd. I don't hate it. I wish I knew how to pronounce that. Somebody let me know if you know for sure. Is it noose? Is it like a silent S? Is it new? No, I don't know. I don't know how to say that. View all our plans. I'm not paying for this. You can pay for it. Ooh, what do you get? Hosted tool usage, high rate limits. Huh. I don't know. Brendan, are you paying for this? I have never experienced like a limitation while using this that made me think, oh, I should consider upgrading. You're using the desktop app now? Okay. Okay. I almost like the paranoid part of me kind of likes the fact that it's installed in WSL, because that means it doesn't have access to any of my like core Windows files, which is something people are always paranoid about. Like, oh, if you install an AI agent on your computer, what if it deletes your hard drive or whatever, deletes all your like. I kind of like that it's sort of in in WSL jail. You know, it could completely bork my WSL instance and whatever. I'll just delete WSL and reinstall it, you know? Yeah. I've also been thinking about installing it on a server. I haven't tried that yet, but I'm considering installing Hermes like on my Hetzner box and playing around with that. I just don't, I'm struggling to come up with a reason to do that, like a use case for it. It's a better deal than OpenRouter, okay? We're not even on version 1 yet. All right. That's it, guys. I'm gonna go get lunch. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for the interaction in the chat. I appreciate all that. And like I said, definitely check out the link in the description of this video for that community. It's called Modern Builders Society. So it's all about, you know, modern building strategies, which mostly revolves around AI. Mark has a whole AI setup that's different from mine. It's very interesting to see how that works and how he built that. So yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys. Brendan, Rob, Marcin, Devin, Maurice, everybody, Blake.